The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And what is up, everybody? Welcome inside a Tuesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. As always, in the top right-hand corner of the screen right there, they go the extra mile for you so you don't have to. We want to thank them every day for their wonderful support and sponsorship of Running Point and everything that we do at YSN. We could not do everything that we do as a company without great sponsors like Greenwood Chevrolet. There would be no player profiles. There'd be no coaches' corners. There'd be no live broadcasts. There would be no lights on in the office. There would be nothing to do without the sponsors that we do have. And Greenwood Chevrolet is one of them. And we thank them for their belief in what Running Point can be. We always take time to thank Greenwood Chevrolet every day on Running Point. So thank you again to Greenwood. If you're in the market for a new used vehicle, make sure to check them out. They'll go the extra mile for you and get you situated in the best way they possibly can. We have a good show for you today. We're going to talk about a little bit that's going on. We're going to actually first jump into a softball team that I forgot to talk about yesterday. We have Austintown's 12U in Little League regionals trying to get to the World Series, but we also have a junior league team that is going to be in the World Series. They won their Central Regional tournament over the weekend. They punched their ticket to the World Series. And this is a 14U team with players that range from Poland, Boardman, Canfield, Struthers. They're all going to be together on one team, and they all played really well in the Central Regional tournament. They won over Indiana, their state champions, 15-1 to get the championship in the Central Regional. And when you look at the way this kind of went down, not only did they score a lot and have a lot of good offense with the 15 runs, but pitching from Gia Verona, who is a name that we've heard a lot in this run that this Steel Valley All-Star team has had. She pitched phenomenally, went 5 innings, gave up no hits, pretty much a no-hitter. 13 strikeouts, walked just one batter. What a great day for her. And then backing her up and making sure that she didn't need to be that good was her offense. I mean, check this out for the Steel Valley All-Stars. They had 15 hits combined. 11 different players had a hit. So you had a lot of breakdown. You had Mackenzie Moore have a hit in a grand slam and 5 RBIs. I mean, what a day, right? When you get 5 ribbies and a grand slam, that's you can't really beat that. Kit Testa and Milena Molenkoff, as well as Justice Paris and Ali Blinsky, all had multiple hits. Testa had 2 doubles and 3 RBI. You have Blinsky, which added 2 RBI. Paris and Molenkoff and Emma Bocherry each had a run batted in as well. So the offense was definitely going on all cylinders for the Steel Valley All-Star team. Those are some names that we have heard. We've covered Little League for a long time. So these are names that we heard a couple of years ago in the 12U and the 10U. So we're definitely familiar with these names and these faces, and not shocked at all that they keep progressing. And I think these high school softball communities are pretty excited about the future. I mean, here's a shocker. I know it's a news flash, but there's a lot of softball talent in Northeast Ohio. If you haven't heard, if you've been living under a rock for the last couple of years on what our high school teams are doing, they're not going away. These programs are not going away. That is evident with what we've seen from Austintown and their little league program, what we're seeing from the Steel Valley All-Stars. We have senior league players that are still playing in the World Series as well. They're there. So you're seeing just nothing but talent ooze out of the tri-county, you could even call it, this Northeast Ohio region, because there's a lot of talent just outside of the Ysn family, but in our region as well. This Northeast Ohio is blessed with not just talent that's currently on the high school rosters, but as we can keep seeing, talent that is going to be on the high school rosters in a very, very immediate future. And that's just exciting, right? That's just exciting. You get to check out these girls. They start their World Series run on July 28th. They'll be through August 3rd. They open up against now hold your breath, because this is kind of a mouthful, the Europe, Africa, Prague, Czech Republic combined team is who they're going to play on Sunday, July 28th at 4:30 Eastern time. So that's who the Steel Valley All-Stars 14U have in front of them, and they're going to try to win a World Series title, bring it back home to Youngstown. But congratulations on that team. Congratulations to the senior team as well that is going on to start their World Series today, I believe at 4 o'clock on ESPN+. And then Austintown will be back in action tonight at 7 o'clock. That's going to be the winner's bracket semifinal. So remember, we talked about this yesterday. Austintown, 3 wins away if they win consecutively. 3 wins in a row away, I guess I should say, from a Central Regional Championship. They could be 4 wins if they lose along the way, but 3 consecutive wins in a row would get them a regional championship and a ticket to the Little League World Series for the second year in a row. So a lot going on in the softball world still, even though it feels like we've hung up the cleats and we feel like travel ball season is mostly done, especially for the older divisions. Tryouts are starting, but hold the brakes, because Little League softball and Junior League softball and Senior League softball all still in action. So we still have a lot to be excited about. If you're a softball fan like me, not trying to let go yet of the season, trying to hold on for as long as you can, you still have a lot to be excited about in this area when it comes to the sport. Now, another thing, as we transition from that, and we are actually going to share the screen for this one so we can show you kind of what this is going to look like on YS. And another thing that we are excited about as sports fans, I think I talk to everyone when I say this, but we are excited because the NCAA has released NCAA 25, college football 25, 11 years in the making. I don't know how many kids are like me that grew up with NCAA college football video games. I definitely did. Dynasty mode for days. We used to play it in the office at YSN. We would pick MAC teams to try to make a dynasty with. I think we had Bowling Green for a long time. Richie Giuliano, by the way, is a legend on this game. I hope he's out there somewhere playing it to the full potential. But we have a really cool feature thanks to the talents of Sam Torres, who for some reason is one of those people that likes to just work on a video game and build stuff instead of actually playing the football. But he has the team builder up, and he has put this in front of us, this awesome opportunity to put another vote in the community's hands. We love to see these communities show up and show us how much they want stuff in coverage. So this is another opportunity, kind of like Big Dogs, to put your team on the map and get them on YSN. This is a college football 25 team builder competition. So what's going to happen is you have until the 1st of August, which is a couple of weeks, to go on to this website, YSN. You can find on the YSN socials the link for the voting. And you will vote for your favorite high school. All of the YSN family high schools are here. I double checked from the 440 all the way to The southernmost in Wellsville, I believe, is the southernmost. They're all here. Vote for your favorite high school. And at the end of the vote, the winner of this poll is going to have a team with the full roster, numerical jersey uniforms, and stadium. And, as correct as the game will possibly let us, football stadium, accurate, created in Team Builder, and then being able to use to be played in the NCAA College Football Game 25. You can go to the 440 Facebook page that Sam Torres runs for an idea of what this will look like, as he's already done it for the 440 teams. So, like Jefferson is the example he used. You can go out there and see what it will look like, but it is really cool. Actually do take my word for it. But if you don't, go to his Facebook and see it. It is awesome. It is really cool to see these high schools like come alive in a video game. So if you want your high school to be built and playable on the College Football 25 EA Sports game, make sure to head to our social media pages, follow the link on there, vote for your favorite high school, and get them on. Get them in the game, right? EA Sports, right? It's in the game. Get your high school in the game. Get out there and vote. Like I said, all the YSN high schools are on this list, and it's just like big dogs. I'll just give an example here. We'll go with the Potters here, East Liverpool, because they have an awesome football arena. Oh, I didn't know the arrows would change my vote. So we'll go with East Liverpool. We will scroll down to the bottom, and you'll hit vote just like you would for big dogs. It's just a longer list. And as you can see, we have 1,361 votes already in, and the poll has only been up for a couple of hours. So make sure to get on, vote for your favorite teams. The voting will balloon as more time goes on, and you have until August 1st. That is when the poll closes. So to do the top on the calendar and do the math real quick, you have 8 days. 8 days of voting. August 1st is a week from Thursday. That's when the voting ends, and that's when we will reveal what team will be in the game. So make sure to go over to our YSN social pages, find the link to this, vote for your favorite high schools, get them in the game, and we're going to have some fun with it. So make sure to do that on ysnlive.com. We're excited for it. We're also excited for high school football coming Friday. Believe it or not, 5 weeks, 5 Fridays left to go until the first Friday Night Lights for high school football. Volleyball starts even earlier, and golf, believe it or not, is the earliest high school golf will start August 1st, the same day that poll closes. We'll have golf matches that involve YSN family schools as well. So it is upon us, everybody. Fall sports is looming, and it is smiling down on us with the weather still very good here in Northeast Ohio. Man, I can't wait. I can't wait for volleyball. I can't wait for golf. Can't wait for football. It's been a summer where we're kind of just waiting. There's a lot of stuff to do. We're still getting content, of course, but it's like the calm before the storm. And eventually you're like, I want to be at a game every night like I was for volleyball, basketball, and softball season. So I'm kind of itching here. I'm kind of itching to get back to being in these communities every night, Monday through Friday, even Saturday mornings. Can't wait. Cannot wait at all. So it's coming soon. So are the high school high school football, volleyball, soccer, golf, all those previews that we have in the preseason with Coach's Corners. That'll be coming up in the month of August as well. So those are some things that you can look forward to on YSN in the coming weeks. But the other thing that you can look forward to today, don't have to wait at all, is another installment of Living the Dream. We've been doing this all summer long. It is a softball segment that has gotten us through the summer on this show, where we take players that have been where our softball players in the YSN family are right now, dreaming of where they want to go to college. Some of them are already committed to these big colleges. Some of them are trying to get to these big colleges. We're talking to players that have been there, that have lived through it, that have gone through the journey, that have the advice and the wisdom that those years have brought them. And we're bringing them on to talk about their journey, their story, because you can learn a lot from people that have been where you want to go. One of the best ways to get advice about the path you want to take is to learn from people that have already walked it. And that's what this series is all about. It continues today with someone who has been to a lot of different stops. Oklahoma. We all know what their softball program's about. Spend some time there, learn from that program. Ole Miss, the Rebels, building a program there, and then finishing her graduate season at Texas A&M last year. Played in the Super Regionals against Texas. Very, very close to knocking off the team that went to the championship series against Oklahoma. And it is my pleasure to say that today's Living the Dream segment will be Brooke Vestal from Texas A&M. You might know her from Ole Miss. You might know her from Oklahoma. It might be just be a hometown hero, right? But wherever you know her from, she's going to be featured on today's episode of Running Point. And that will be coming up after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. Another Living the Dream segment next on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
I'm live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig with you. We appreciate you tuning in so much today. And as promised before that commercial break, we have a very special Living the Dream segment today. We venture into the state of Texas for Texas A&M, and you might know her as well from Ole Miss or maybe Oklahoma or maybe just a hometown hero as well, wherever you're tuning in from, wherever you're watching this interview from and supporting Brooke Vestal. We are so happy that she is a part of this segment, and we will play this interview now. I hope you guys have as much fun listening to it as I had talking to her and letting her share her story. So without further ado, here is Brooke Vestal. Anthony Hartwig here with another segment of what we call Living the Dream. We've been doing it all summer, and we have another very special guest. You might know her from Texas A&M, you might know her from Ole Miss, or she might be a hometown hero for you. But wherever you know her from, Brooke Vestal joins us today. Brooke, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and talk about your softball journey.
I'm really excited.
So I want to start from the beginning before we talk about all the exciting things that you've been able to do as a college softball player. Let's start from just when you picked up the sport and when you found yourself kind of falling in love with this sport of softball.
So we originally picked up softball because my mom played a little bit growing up, but most importantly, Little League softball was during the week and Little League soccer was during the weekends. So my mom and dad did not want to lose out on the weekends. And then once I got to about 10, I picked up pitching. and was good enough to make a travel ball team. And my parents ended up losing their weekends anyway. So that's how we got started. And I picked up pitching in Portland, Texas with Coach B. Taught me the fundamentals and is a big part of why I am where I am today. And then I moved to the Bombers when I was about when I was 11, I moved to the Bombers, and I was not ready to be a Bomber. I just wasn't good enough to compete at that level yet. So I moved to the Austin Stars, where I was able to get a ton of innings and perfect my pitches at that time. What I needed was innings. I needed to compete, and I got that opportunity with the Austin Stars, as well as some really good coaching. And when I went back to the Bombers is when my recruiting process started.
If only your parents knew how many weekends they'd be giving up, right? How many weekends they would lose, because they ended up losing a lot of weekends. I want to talk about pitching, picking up pitching at 10 years old. I know, talking to a lot of pitchers, it's a craft, it's a science, it's something that you have to love, just the craft of pitching. So when you started picking it up, what was it about that position that made you kind of really enjoy it and made you want to work hard at becoming the best pitcher you could be?
So first picking it up, I'm very tall, and I got very tall at a young age. So I was pushed towards pitching. Hey, you have great long levers. Pitching could be something you'd be really good at. And I started working with Coach B, and honestly, she made it really fun. Every day she had a new little tool for us to use, whether it was a spinner or a flapper, whatever it may be. So I was excited to go to lessons and work with her and try these new things. And then the more I went to lessons, the better at pitching I became. And the reality is we all love to do things that we're good at. But you're right, pitching's a lot of work, and you do have to love it.
What was it like transitioning from softball is something that I love to do, it's fun, to then all of a sudden it's softball is something I want to put a lot of work into. Softball is something that I might be able to go to college in, and softball is something that I'm going to not just love, obviously still love it, but love it enough to put that much work and time into it.
So when I moved to the Austin Stars, it was not a big organization. I think we had 114s, 116s, 118s. And I had coaches that I really loved and a team that I really loved. And I was just competing and having fun. We went to PGF when I was in the 7th grade. And that's when, at that time, coaches could recruit 7th graders. We could verbally commit in the 8th grade. So in 7th grade, when we were at PGF and all these coaches are watching, we were like, hey, maybe I do have a shot at this. Like, I have the opportunity to do something special here, and now I just got to work at it to make it happen.
Little 7th grade Brooke, seeing all those college coaches, I mean, was that an inspiration? Was that more pressure? How did you handle all of a sudden being that reality setting in that you can make a college career out of softball?
It was really exciting. Softball, we were a smaller team from Austin, Texas. I'd grown up playing softball in South Texas. Not many people went to huge universities at that time. So it had never really been something we'd thought about. And to see all those coaches and to see the response that I was getting, it was really exciting. It gave me something to work towards.
Let's talk about your specific recruiting process, because I know everyone is different. Everyone has a different recruiting story. What was yours, and what did you go through before you decided to make Ole Miss your first home?
So I actually committed to Oklahoma in the 8th grade. So my recruiting process, my spring of 8th grade, I drove up to Oklahoma with my family and committed to be a Sooner. And for my recruiting process, I had picked out 5 schools that I had a lot of interest in, that I could see myself going to. I visited them, talked to the coaches, and I knew that Oklahoma was where I wanted to be. I honored that commitment and spent my first 3 years there. And sadly, it just didn't work out. I wasn't ready to pitch at that level. So I entered the portal hoping to find a place that I could go and compete at and take what I had learned at OU and impact another program on and off the field. Because it's a championship program. It's a championship culture. You have to have certain standards, and I was excited to take that to a new place. So I went through the recruiting process again through the transfer portal, And that's when Ole Miss reached out to me, and I connected immediately with Riker and Jamie, ended up committing there, and I spent 2 seasons at Ole Miss.
And then you go and you spend your last season of eligibility at Texas A&M, back home a little bit in your home state of Texas, still in the SEC, and you get to be a part of that program. What was that like to have one more year of eligibility and go spend it with the Aggies?
I didn't know if I was going to take my 6th year, so I ended up redshirting when I got to Oklahoma to develop more, learn from the pitchers above me. And my 2nd year was COVID, so I ended up with 2 extra years of eligibility. And I was far away from home for the first 5. It was a 7-hour drive to Norman, Oklahoma, and it was a 13-hour drive to Oxford. And I was ready to see my family. I have 2 sisters. My parents were all very close. So to be able to come back to Texas and, 1, be around my family, but 2, be a part of a year that was so special. We go to Supers. We compete with Texas, the #1 seed. We proved a lot of people wrong and did special things. So I personally couldn't have asked for a better 6th year.
So let's talk about just your whole college experience as a whole, especially the start of it, because I want to talk about going from high school into college, where when you're that high school age, you're a big fish in a small pond. You can dominate a lot of high school batters, and then you go into, for you, Oklahoma. That's the biggest transition you could possibly go into. What was it like mentally trying to prepare for that, and what was how was the reality setting in that this was a whole different world of softball?
So in high school, I committed to Oklahoma in the 8th grade. I was the #1 recruit. Everything was going about as well for me as it possibly could have. I wasn't used to failure. I wasn't used to being a teammate. I was used to being on the mound and striking people out. And I thought I was going to Oklahoma to be a 4-time American. I was going to lead us to a national championship, and I wasn't ready. And that was hard to admit, that I wasn't ready. It was hard to walk into Coach Gasso's office and say, I think I need to redshirt. I'm not ready to help our team, and I know there's a lot that I need to learn, and I need to get better before I can contribute to this program. That was hard, to look at yourself and realize that you aren't as good as you think. And that's hard. Like exactly like you said, you're a big fish in a little pond for so long, and that transition's hard. And you're also leaving the people that you're closest to, your friends, your family, your old teammates, your support system. You're going into a new situation that's already scary, and you don't have the people that are usually there for you to lean on. And I think that makes it really hard. And then you add softball into it, and going into a program like Oklahoma, where their standard is so high and there's a lot expected out of you, I think that redshirting was the best thing that I could have done for myself personally, because I was humbled. I was forced to be a teammate. I charted, I picked pitches. I learned how to contribute without ever stepping on the field.
I know there are players out there that wouldn't be able to be that self-reflective, and instead of doing what you did and have the conversation with Coach Gasso and, like you said, learning how to be a teammate, they might just have like a mental breakdown, just decide that softball's not for them. Maybe they gas out, maybe they go to a really smaller college and just kind of spend their time there where they know they can dominate. What was it for you? Maybe it was your upbringing, maybe it was the coaches in the past. What made you so ready to be kind of self-evaluating and be able to have that conversation and say, like, hey, I'm just not ready and I want to get ready?
I'm really lucky with my support system. My dad actually played football at Baylor, and he had a very similar situation. He was the best quarterback coming out of Texas, commits to Baylor, gets there, and he did not earn a spot in his time there. And for him to have lived that, as terrible as it is, he was able to help me through my experience as well. So what he went through, he was able to communicate with me and be like, look, at the end of the day, if you can say that you worked as hard as you could and you learned and you grew, this experience is a win. But if you go into this situation and shut down or quit, not try very hard, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life.
And like you said, that's a championship locker room with a lot of championship mindsets that's instilled from as soon as you step into the dugout. When you went from Oklahoma to Ole Miss, how much did you see that championship mindset that you had coming from Oklahoma kind of affect their program and to be able to, like you said, impact the Ole Miss locker room and the impact the Ole Miss kind of mindset they were trying to establish there?
I think that, so in my red shirt, I got really lucky. Sydney Romero, Shay Knighton, Folly of You, Kylie Lundberg, we're all seniors. My first year at Oklahoma. Those are some of the best who have ever played our sport. Some of the best leaders, some of the best players. And I got to sit and watch how they led. And I got to learn from them. And Kylie Lundberg is not a name that you will hear very often from Oklahoma softball. But what you don't know is that Kylie Lundberg was picking pitches. Other opposing coaches hated her. She knew when bunts were coming, change-ups, and to see that, I was like, okay, Kylie is who I want to be like. So I took that to Ole Miss, and I think at first they were a little confused by me. A big thing at Oklahoma is Coach Gasso loves communication. So when we're doing defense at practice, everyone's communicating. Hey, plays at 2, I got you here. There's constant chatter. And I got to Ole Miss, and I'm in the dugout constantly chattering. Everyone's like, what is this girl doing? Shut up over there. And then slowly more people started joining. And before you know it, we're cheering, having a good time, communicating with the pitchers. I think it's important for pitchers to be involved in the team because we are so separated. It's 2 different jobs. So it's important to me to be around the team as much as you can at practice. And most of the time that's moving buckets, that's shagging balls. So at first I got to Ole Miss and started doing these things, and slowly but surely the other pitchers were joining me as well. And it was just little things like that. I was like, okay, whether I pitch or not, I am helping this program. And my last year at Ole Miss, I was actually voted to Leadership Council, which was really exciting, just to know that what I was doing was paying off and it was impacting our team and appreciated.
I want to talk about the relationships that you built with the other pitchers at these places you were at, because when I watch college softball, I love watching the pitching staffs because they become such a close-knit group. Like you said, a little bit separated from the team. So those are the people that you spend the most time with are your fellow pitchers. What was it like being able to do that with 3 separate programs and 3 separate staffs and to be able to build relationships with so many people?
It was really cool. Pitching's hard. One person pitches at a time. There's 5 to 8 of us on a team and only one pitches. And when you're a part of a staff that really buys in and buys into your team, buys into each other and the success of the group rather than the success of yourself, it's really special. And I think that we created that this year at A&M. We were super close, group chat, we'd have bowling nights. So it was a really special experience all of my years, but especially this past one. We were a small staff of 4, and it was us against the world. No matter who was on the mound, we celebrated each other's successes like they were our own.
Yeah, you talked about, the run that you guys had this year, going to supers and really pushing Texas to the ultimate brink that you possibly could. What was the whole season this year like at Texas A&M when you're a program that maybe not a lot of people expect a ton from, and then you were able to not just do as well as you did, but then go and make a really good run, exciting run into the tournament? What was it like to go through all that?
It was just the mentality of like, no one likes us but us. And that's okay. Now we just got to go out there and do what we know we can do. And by the end of the season, we were playing at the level that we knew we could play at all year. So it's just about ignoring the outside noise and focusing on Texas A&M softball. And I think our staff does a really good job of that, of keeping us focused on our dugout and not outside noise.
That being said, I think, and this might rub people the wrong way, but I think Texas A&M has one of the best fan bases in any softball program in the country. What's it like to be a part of that hoopla and to be able to play, in College Station with the 12th man at your games and to be able to have that kind of support?
It's amazing to have them all there through the whole game. So one, they're cheering the whole time. We A&M baseball started the ball five, and softball's picked that up. So now the whole stands are cheering, chanting. Sometimes we get the yell leaders out there to get the crowd going, and there's nothing like playing against whoever it may be and hearing beat the hell out of. You're like, yeah. So the environment itself is just really exciting. And then at the end of the game, we sing the war hymn. Everyone's linked up, and it's just, you have to be a part of it to understand it.
When you go to programs like that, and I'm sure Ole Miss and Oklahoma are the same way, where you have tradition there, you have plenty of players that have come before you that have made that program great. Do you get to kind of, how involved do you see the alumni? I mean, do you get to meet some of the players that have been there before, and do you get to kind of feel that support of the people that have built the tradition there?
100%. We had an alumni weekend this past fall, and we played a game, and the alumni were there. We had a huge turnout. Like, people from the 86 and 87 national championships came back. We honored them. They told us stories. They told us what it means to them to be an Aggie, not just a softball player, but an Aggie in general. And I ended up meeting Amanda Scarborough and Jamie Lopre, who have been just amazing. I want to get more involved in softball with Alliance, with Bombers, doing camps. And both Jamie and Amanda have been incredible.
So now I want to bring this back full circle and talk to the high school players that we're going to be covering and that we're talking to. What were some lessons that you learned, especially through your college career, that you think you kind of wish you would have known before you stepped on campus at Oklahoma that first year, that now because you've gone through it? What were some things that you're like, man, if I knew that back when I was 18 going onto a college campus, things might have been a little bit different?
I like this question. What I wish I would have known. The first thing that I wish I would have known is that comparison is the thief of all joy. And my journey will never look like someone else's. So why would I compare it to them? Because sitting there and picking yourself, well, she's doing this and she committed and she's pitching, you're going to drive yourself crazy. I wish I would have known at 18 to not be so worried about the outside, what people were saying about me, what was being posted, being so wrapped up in what everyone else had to say about me, instead of realizing, like, I can do this. I got this. Having confidence in myself and the work that I had put into it. So the first thing would be focus on your own journey. Don't worry about other people, because things are going to work out. The second thing, I just think the last 6 years being a teammate to me was so important, and building relationships with my teammates. My other advice would be buy into your team. Get to know them. When you show up on campus as an 18-year-old freshman, it is so easy to hide with the other freshmen, to just stay with them, not making waves. No, I wish I would have known, like, go up to Jocelyn and be like, hey, you want to go get coffee later? Hey, you want to go hit in the cages later? Building those relationships with upperclassmen who, one, have been there so they can help you through this, but two, now you're just building a better culture for your team. I think that is really important. So that would be my advice.
When you look back on the way that you committed early, and I know people can't commit as early as you anymore, but we have some players that we're covering that committed like right out of their summer going into their junior year as early as you can now. How did you kind of stave off the idea that I'm committed now, so I don't have to work anymore? I got this locked down. I'm just going to cruise through the rest of my high school career. And when I get to Norman for you, I'm going to be, just where I am. Like, how did you kind of keep working, stay motivated after you were already committed and you knew where you were going?
When you watch that program play and you see them in super regionals and the World Series and winning the World Series, and you hear the interviews, you want to be there. You want to get there and compete and help the team in any way that you can. And if you're not working, you're not going to do that. So the motivation is watching the program, seeing their successes, and going, that's what I want. I want to be a part of that. And in order to be a part of that, I got to work.
I've asked every player that I've brought on this, and it's always fun to get these answers. What was your welcome to college softball moment where you realized really quickly that the reality hit you? This is a different world.
My welcome to college softball moment. Coach Gasso scheduled a cooking class for everyone, and I rode with the other freshmen. And let's say it was supposed to be at 5 o'clock. We got there at 4:59. Everyone's already seated. We are the last people there. All eyes whip to the door, and my heart just sinks. And I think that's the end of it. And then the next day, I threw a great bullpen. I'm excited. And Coach Gasso said, hey, all the freshmen are going to take these rags and wipe down the pads along the stadium. I was like, oh my goodness, I've already made Coach Gasso mad. We were late, but we weren't late. So I figured out right then and there, on time's late. And that was the moment for me that I realized, okay, this is real now.
All right, so before we let you go, one of the things that I want to do at the end of these is just like the final advice that you give to youth softball players. I know you're working with them. You want to keep working with them. What are some things that you tell them to keep doing to try to achieve their dreams and to make their dreams a reality?
I would say that at this age, when you're getting recruited, you're about 16, 17. And at that age, everyone can throw and catch and hit and run. You're starting to figure the game out. What sets you apart from the others? Are you a great communicator? Do you get your bunts down? Do you miss signs? There are things that you can do to set yourself apart that have nothing to do with how many home runs that you hit. How do you control the field? How do you communicate with your teammates? What do you like as a person? How are you going to set yourself apart at this stage in the game? And understanding what you are really good at. Not trying to be someone else. What you're good at, buying into that, and accepting your role.
One of the things we also always do with these player interviews, no matter what level we're interviewing, we always want to give the athlete the chance to take the limelight off themselves a little bit and shine it on the people that have got them to where they are. And I know your village is really big, and I'm sure you've had a lot of people get you to where you are. So I want to give you as much time as you need to talk about the people that got you there and talk about your support system and give them the flowers, the limelight, and the shout outs that they deserve.
You're right. There are a ton of people. Obviously my family has done so much for me. Like I mentioned, my dad earlier has helped me through this process, has been there every step of the way. My mom, same thing, is always there when I need her. So many coaches, lots of coaches out there. Tony Rico, Riker Chasen, Placido. All of my coaches have played a part, but I think my thank you right now is to my 16U team because they've just reinvigorated how I feel about this game, and helping them achieve their dreams is very special to me. So I just want to say thank you to them for reigniting my love for this.
Brooke, we want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us and getting your story out there, your journey out there. We know that players that hear it are going to be inspired by it and take your advice. And we want to thank you for helping the next generation of softball players. Wish you the best of luck in whatever your future endeavors are, whatever you're going to do. I know it's going to be great. Once again, we thank you for your time, and we look forward to talking to you real soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
That was Brooke Vestal, who has had a great journey and shared every part of it. And one of the things I liked about that conversation, well, there were a lot of things, but the one that stuck out to me that I don't think has been hit on yet in our player interviews that we've done so far, is the ability that she had to be self-reflective when she stepped on the campus and be like, you know what, I'm probably just not ready right now for this level of softball. And to be able, and she said, to be able to tell yourself that, look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. I need more development. I need to grow more before I can step on the field and help this team. That's not easy to do at 18 years old, especially when you have been the big fish in a small pond, as we talked about in that interview. You've been striking out people. You've been so dominant in high school. There's been no one that can really challenge you. So then to step on to Oklahoma and be like, I'm not it yet. I'm going to get there. You have confidence that you're going to get there. You trust the process. She didn't quit. She just said, you know what? I need time to build as a teammate and build as a pitcher. I need that redshirt year. To have that self-reflection and be able to be honest with yourself like that is a crucial characteristic to someone that does not quit when things get hard, because a lot of people would hit that wall and they would either go to a school that was really easy to go to and I am going to absolutely dominate here because it says I'm better than everyone here, or quit. And I've seen it happen. I know every college coach has seen it happen. You ask any college coach, they've seen freshmen come on and wash out. They've seen freshmen come on and transfer to much smaller schools that just they're a lot better than they can go and they can rack up their stats and feel good about themselves. But to be able to self-reflect, look yourself in the mirror and say, I can be on this level, I deserve to be on this level, but I'm not there yet, and I need time to develop myself further so I can get there. And then to be able to have that conversation with the coach that recruited you to be there is just a big part of her journey, and it could be a part of your journey if you're watching. If you get to your college campus, you have to be able to really quickly self-evaluate yourself on where you stand and to be able to have those conversations with your coaching staff. Hey, I need development. I'm not going to be able to help this team if I am selfish and just get on the field. I'm not there yet. I need to get there. I believe I can get there. I have the confidence I can get there. I just need time. And to be able to say that and to be able to reflect on that yourself without someone having to tell you constantly, because you can hear that from a coach, but if you don't believe it, if you're not able to look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that, then if a coach says it, it just, oh, coach is just being mean, coach is being over critical, I'm it. You feel like that. You're not going to survive at that level of softball. You're just not. It's going to humble you really, really quick. And she survived. She went through redshirted her first year, played 2 years at Oklahoma, went to a program where she knew she could make a bigger impact and build up a championship culture with everything that she learned from Oklahoma. Did that at Ole Miss, and then went from Ole Miss, graduated from Ole Miss, had one more year of eligibility like most COVID people do, and took it to Texas A&M and just had the time of her life down there as an Aggie. And as I said before that interview, Texas A&M, a really strong team this year that surprised a lot of people, that got to the Super Regionals, that pushed Texas to the brink. One of the more fun games of the whole tournament was that deciding game between Texas A&M and Texas. You could tell that rivalry was fierce, and no one wanted to lose that game. And although Texas eventually won and eventually worked their way to the championship series, Texas A&M probably pushed them the most of any other team in that tournament to the absolute brink, to an elimination game, winner take all, super regional final. It doesn't get better than that. And now we're seeing what she's able to do, helping the next generation. And like she said, reinvigorate that love for the game. I think that's a big part too. Always find ways to re-spark the love for the game, because there are going to be moments in your career when you go into college, I guarantee it, where it gets really hard. You're in class, you're doing all the lifting, you're doing all the early morning workouts, then you have to go to practice, and you have to go to a game. It's going to get really hard, and you're going to have to find more ways to fall in love with the game all over again. If you don't, you're going to get gassed out, you're going to run out of steam, and then you're going to lose that love for the sport. And if you don't love the sport at that level, you're not going to survive again. Because once again, it's a job down there in college. They expect you to have all these responsibilities. If you don't love what you're doing, it's not worth it. And it becomes very evident when you lose your love for the game. So find other ways. Find ways to fall in love with the game constantly. Find ways to be passionate about the game of softball. And Brooke did that throughout her whole career. What a great conversation. I want to thank her for her time giving it to us. And another great segment of Living the Dream that we've been doing all summer long. We will continue to do that throughout the rest of the summer until we hit to the fall sports previews, of course. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. We had good viewership numbers like we always do. So thank you so much for the time, for checking in on YSN Live and checking in on Running Point. We want to remind you that we will be back here tomorrow with Scotty Mincher on the show every Wednesday. He was sick last week. He'll be back here this week, and he'll be on the show to bring up his thoughts and talk about what he wants to talk about. It's always great when Scotty's on the show, so don't miss that tomorrow from 1 to 2. Reminder that the 16U, the Senior World Series, starts today at 4 o'clock. Check those girls out that are local representing. And then also the Austintown 12U team plays at 7 o'clock on ESPN+. Make sure to check them out as well as they go to try to take another step into the Central Region Championships. Make sure to check all that out. Also, reminder, head over to ysnlive.com/inthegame to vote for your favorite high school to be put in Team Builder in NCAA College Football 25. So you can have your school represented on the game as well. All that and more still coming on YSN, and we'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 2 with Scotty Mincher. Thank you again for tuning in today. Running Point, always